You're listening to the Storied Coaching Podcast with Aaron J. Jacobs, episode number 96. This week, we're talking with Tommy Geary about men's relationship health. Forward.
What if you could rewrite your current story? How would you spend your time? What would your career or business look like? What kind of life would you design? Welcome to Storied Coaching, the podcast for high-performing leaders that provides you with tools and insights for building a thriving business that fuels an amazing life on your terms. I'm Aaron J. Jacobs, and as a master coach and the CEO of OMH Creative and Storied Coaching, I've had the privilege and opportunity to learn what it takes to rewrite your story. It's never too late for a rewrite.
All right, welcome this week, everybody. I have a special treat for you. This week is going to be a guest star episode with the great Tommy Geary. Tommy's been on here before. Some of you might remember from the Durable Dad podcast and from other adventures in life. He and I have gotten to go to conferences together and hung out together. We've had some harrowing bike rides in major urban centers.
Scooters.
Oh, it was scooters. You're right. It was scooters. And I will only take responsibility for my own self, as I should, but I may have been a little competitive with it while we were riding and maybe taken some risks I didn't need to take. But you're with a pack of guys, like it just naturally happens. You go back to fifth grade again and you built a ramp and everybody wants to like get the most air off of the ramp. Like we tend to, in groups of guys, we go back to that, we regress. Some of us, at least. Yeah. Some of us stay mature like Tommy. But I wanted to get together again. I reached out to Tommy because of the fact that Tommy and I were just talking before the podcast started, catching up a little bit. We're a little bit of the same kind of stupid when it comes to injuring ourselves and trying to push through the pain anyway, even though our PT people are telling us, hey, could you stop maybe doing that thing for a little while and let it heal? It's something I've noticed in high performers in general, men, is that we're like the taking time off to heal thing can be, yeah, I hear you. I'll start doing that.
I took a week and a half off and I did the exercise that you told me to do. Let's go. And
a whole week and a half. I feel like that's a lot of restraint.
I know it was. And there's a lot more steps than that to get back into it.
Totally. Absolutely. And I thought we would come in today, and I was trying to keep the whole men's mental health stuff to the month of men's mental health, which is June, which technically while we're recording right now still is, but this episode's more than likely going to drop next week. So I've decided that men's mental health month gets another week is what I've decided.
Men's mental health year, and we're recording in June. It counts.
I feel like we need it with the stats that I've been seeing as far as what males need right now, as far as friendships, making sure that they're reaching out and that they are curating friendships, ones that they've had in the past that they want to keep strong, as well as cultivating new ones, like how to make friends in your 40s, basically could be its own podcast.
Yeah.
And then also getting in and talking about how to build a network of men. One of the reasons I wanted to have you on today is because you're so good at talking about all the different aspects of that. Through it, a lot of times I hear when I'm listening to your podcast through the lens that I have in common with you, which is being a dad.
Yeah.
But it applies to so many different areas of our lives. And so if you'd like to jump in a little bit as well, what are you seeing right now with the men that you're working with? Are you seeing that once they start to have connection, once they start to work with you and get to know other guys, I know you do retreats as well. What do you see that happens as far as impact right away in the short term? And then are there some longer term benefits you're seeing as well? Do they foster those friendships and do some of them keep going after some of these retreats and things like that?
Yeah, I think a mixture of my answer is probably going to be my personal experience and the dudes that I work with, the men that I work with. Most of my coaching is one-on-one. So the one-on-one aspect of a guy coming to a strategy session, and in that first strategy session, like having conversations about whether they're just struggles of like feeling overwhelmed and feeling like the day is freaking packed. The commonality of a dad to wake up in the morning and be on all day with work, with kid stuff.
Immediately.
Immediately. And even, I wanted to wake up early, but I didn't wake up early. And we're already starting with this anxiety of beating ourselves up. And then at the end of the night, you got 20 minutes to watch Netflix and then you pass out and you do it again. Just like talking about that in a strategy session, and maybe there's extra stress at work or you're flipping out at your kids. talking to another guy about that, and if it's this one-on-one, like me and you talking, I'd be like, dude, this same thing happened to me last week. Like I like this happened with this kid, this came up and I wasn't expecting it. That I, I think it's not alone. You don't
Yeah.
feel as alone. You don't feel as isolated, or, oh, it's not just me. I'm not the only
Oh,
one
that's
that's
so
struggling with
huge.
this.
That it's not just me part of it.
Yeah. And
Because I don't know why I get so surprised that when I'm talking with you or I'm talking with any of the other guys in my circle, that I don't know why it's surprising to me, but it always is that when they say they're having similar struggles, I don't know why I always think that it's individual to me, that it's
yeah.
just me who's like struggling with this archetype of the perfect dad or the perfect partner or the perfect friend, perfect
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just something there that we forget collectively that no, dude, everybody's going through this. That's a guy and is a provider right now.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't even know you're going through it until you hear someone else struggling with it. You're like,
So
"Oh,
true.
I haven't even noticed that in myself." And yeah, that's a part of my life that I haven't looked at, and it does suck. So I'm in this workout group called F3, and it's local here, and it's been like my outlet. We live in Ohio. We lived in Colorado for 15 years, but when we adopted our daughter, we wanted to get closer to family. My wife's family's from here. So we traded the mountains for flatness of the Midwest. And
I'm from Indiana, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
well, southern Indiana or northern?
Northern Indiana.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So the glacier flattened part of
Yes.
Indiana.
Very
I'm
flat.
Northwest Ohio. So southern Ohio, southern Indiana, beautiful rolling hills. I'm flat. And moving here, it was all my wife's family, my wife's network, and it was cool. They're amazing people. And I found this workout group that I got invited into. It's open to all men, and they have become my guys, my friends. You talk about making friends over 40. Like, I'm just so freaking lucky that I found this, because I really have
Nice.
friends. And I was talking to one.
There's something about that physical aspect too, right? There's something about gym culture, I would
Proximity
call it that,
and
but
yeah.
especially with the CrossFitty or this sounds like boot camp maybe esque. Like there's something more
Yeah.
collaborative about it than being isolated and just doing your own weightlifting session.
Yeah, exactly. So F3, it stands for Fitness, Fellowship, and Faith. Have you heard of it?
You've mentioned it to me before. I don't know if
Okay.
they have a local chapter here, but you've definitely told me about it when we've been talking.
It's nationwide. There's quirky things about it. It took like I went to the first one, like you get a nickname. There's cultish aspects, but I was like, all right, I'm just going to stick it out. I'm going to go 10 times and see what happens. All the workouts are
Yeah.
free. They're always outside. Like, a lot of it resonated with me. Some of it didn't. Some of it still I don't totally jive with.
Well, like
But
anything, right?
yeah, I'm not going to throw the baby
Any
out with the
workout.
bathwater. And
Yeah. Any workout, like even when I'm following a very specific, like prescribed program, it's a 6-week program or something like that. There'll be parts of the programming where like, hey, me as an individual, that exercise aggravates my shoulder. So I'm going to switch it out for this one.
yeah.
Or you never have to be 100% purist about anything that you do. You can adapt for yourself.
Yeah. And the fitness part of this, you got these 40-year-old dudes that they're in all range of shape as far as like health.
Yeah.
And all the workouts are led by these guys. So you would appreciate this. So many people have shoulder injuries. So many people get knee injuries because we're not balancing out the exercises. It's all body work. You can't get any pulling when it's just your body. It's all pushing,
it's
pushing,
hard.
pushing. So
Yeah.
we get stupid injuries. But the fellowship part of it is really, I think they say like the fitness is the gateway drug.
Yeah.
The fitness gets everyone in there, but then the real impact comes with that fellowship, and it's getting coffee after a workout on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Those kinds of conversations start to happen. I don't know if they always happen. But when I'm around, they usually do, because I'm a coach and I ask those interesting.
You're the kind of guy that's going to foster those sorts of situations.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
And I'll open up and be more vulnerable. But there's other guys that are too. Like last weekend, at the end of every workout, they get in a circle. And this is part of men having friends, having a network of other men. This one guy was just like, I've been struggling with getting out here. Like, I'm here today, but I've been struggling getting out here and waking up early, and I've really been wanting to, but I just wake up and I hit snooze, and I find I'm anxious. I find I don't really feel like getting up at all. And it's something that I'm working on. And I get chills saying it right now. And I think I just can relate. Like, he said it. And I texted him later. I was like, dude, I totally relate to that. I'm not in that, like, right now I'm like on a roll, but shit ebbs and flows, right?
Yeah.
Your different seasons, whatever. I've been there where I don't feel like waking up. I look at my day ahead and I'm like, I don't want
I
to
don't want to.
face this. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I don't want to make lunches again. And I don't want to have to, whatever it is, sometimes record a podcast. I
Yeah.
feel stressed. I don't have any ideas right now. This is going to suck. I'm not good enough. Like, I'm not creative. Who the hell am I? And in
Oh man.
those kinds of,
Yep.
if you stay there, it can get pretty freaking paralyzing quickly.
Real heavy.
And so bringing that to a network of guys and just voicing it, I don't know, it's helpful. It's like a part of you think sucks is more accepted.
Yeah. And finding a group like you did, whether it's F5 or something where you can,
Only 3
F3.
Fs. Yeah.
Only 3. See, I'm inventing a new one that's F5.
I would love to hear your other Fs.
I don't know what the other 2 Fs are, but
Okay.
they're probably not good for mixed company. But yeah, having something like that you can go towards that's regular.
Yeah.
And that you go, like you said, the gateway drug is the workout.
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to go and do that and you get some endorphins out, which feels good. But through the struggle, through the suffering of being with other guys, you start to find commonalities. You start to find things. You start to feel less alone. Like that, finding that, like being purposeful about it, whether you're doing something like F3 or whether you need to find a group of guys that, with a specific hobby that they're into, like yours, whether it's working out, whether it's, it could be building model planes. It doesn't matter what it is, but finding something that there's a common link, but that's just the starting point. And then you can find a few guys that jibe with you and that you want to maybe expand that relationship with a little bit, even if it could just be an acquaintance level with coffee every once in a while, or maybe every once in a while you get lucky. And like with you and me, you find someone that like, oh, I really like this guy. I want to make sure I stay in touch.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I know what he's up to. I'm going to listen to the podcast. Like you're like, oh, this is amazing. I found a friend to cultivate and to lean into, to be able to reach out to.
I know, because I know when I do get into my own little funk and I stop going to those workouts and stop seeing those dudes, there's a change in my life. And when I do start showing up again, there's a change in my life. So I've been super lucky finding that here locally. am realizing it's not very common to, like you said, make friends when you're in your late 30s, in your 40s, when you're a dad and you don't have the freaking time to make friends. So it does have to be some effort. And like you were saying, how are you going to find your group? I think if it isn't local, there are a lot of virtual options. And that's where what I do comes in. I host.
Let's talk a little bit about that. Like how do you set up your sessions? I know you do one-on-one, but do you also do some group as well that maybe feeds into some of I know you do in-person ones that are like more male getaway type things, sit around the campfire and be in nature.
Yeah.
Walk me through what you have found, because you probably started out with, okay, I think this is what my thing is going to be. This is how I want to program it. What have you found is actually the progression or that's been the most useful for you and for people that you're coaching and that you're working with?
Yeah. The for me part is really what I've started to lean into more with what I'm offering, because I know that if I get fired up about it, then it's going to resonate with other people. So one-on-one coaching is right now my main offer that's always out there. And right now I think I'm working with 12 guys and I work with up to 15 guys. And one thing new I've been doing differently that a lot of guys have been liking is getting off Zoom and walking and talking and just doing coaching phone calls. And
oh, nice.
That's been so refreshing for me. I was thinking about it, heard someone else was doing it. Then on the Tim Ferriss podcast, he tested it out with the guy he was interviewing. And so I asked one of the guys that I've been coaching for a while. He was like, hell yeah. And it's probably 4 guys that I'm taking walks with every week, and we're just coaching
I
like that.
love that.
We're not
I
supposed to
absolutely
be.
love that, because I think I would have a knee-jerk reaction at first, especially when I first started coaching one-on-one, that the Zoom experience, like similar to what we're having now, for those of you that are watching on YouTube and can see Tommy and I right now, like I thought that this was like the higher value. Like you get to see me and we're talking with each other and I'm providing this like extra thing. But for men that might be handling multiple roles, that are married, that do have kids, that like are trying to do all the things, are business owners like you and I, like time is at a premium. And if you can get 2 birds with 1 stone done, man, I know I love that.
Yeah.
So if I can go and get an extra walk in, and it helps me to think, because whenever I'm walking, it helps me to think because I'm in my body more.
Yeah.
And my filters are off a bit more, which I can think that would be actually really conducive to doing some really deep coaching instead of just standing stationary. I love this idea. This is great.
With you on, I was like, oh, Zoom is more personal. Zoom
Yeah.
is like the higher offer. I think people are sick of freaking Zooming.
Yeah. Totally.
They're clicking off of their business meeting and then clicking onto a coaching session
Yeah.
to get up, to walk around. Sometimes I will be like, all right, stop, like wherever you're at for a second, and just feel your feet on the ground and take a breath so we can dissect some of that a little bit more. But yeah, the movement does get you. That's when you have your inspiration, when you're on a run or when you're walking. And that's when you have your best conversations with people, because sometimes eye-to-eye contact isn't great. You can be more open when you don't have eye-to-eye contact. So back to, I think your question was what am I seeing working? What am I working on myself and other guys? So the one-on-one coaching, taking it a little more mobile with walking.
Yeah.
And then along with the walking, so this year I started doing some in-person stuff like you mentioned. Right now I'm calling them durable dad days. And it's just usually on a Friday from 9:30 to 3, get together with some guys, and groups have been 10, 12 guys. And yeah, we get together, have conversations. Usually I try to find some kind of park or forest or natural setting to take walks and have conversations. I might have some yoga in there because I'm a certified yoga teacher, and we'll do some meditation, and we'll just coach also about the shit that's going on in our life. Like, where are we getting stuck? What's stressing us out? And then what are our dreams? What do we want to happen from here until the next day? And what does it mean to be a good dad? What does it mean to be a man? And brainstorm, strategize with each other. And the feedback that I get is they love the yoga. They love the being outside, not looking at their screen all day. Not allowed to check your phone all day. Of
Nice. Good rule.
You're a grown man. You can step outside and check your phone if you want, but
I love it.
It's highly
You're
recommended.
a grown-ass man. Put your phone away.
Yeah. I'm not going to yell at you if you look at your phone, but the challenge is don't look at your phone all day.
Yeah.
And then the big one is like the conversation with other guys. It's good to hear that other guys are going through some of the same stuff and that I can relate. And so that's been super fun this year. And so what is big, that's been motivating for me. I feel alive. I'm like, holy shit, this is like what I'm doing for a living. Like, amazing. Yeah. So when I'm feeling like that, like there's got to be something there to follow. And those have been cool. So I'm going to do one in Chicago. I'm going to do another one here locally. I have aspirations to do one in Vail. That's where I lived for 15 years in Colorado. So I've got a good network there. And then, so every 2 weeks I host an online call, and it's really for right now, it's for guys that I've worked with or guys that I'm working with. And we hop on for an hour and we just have good conversations. I'll have a prompt and we'll check in with what's been going on in your life. And if anyone, I'll just be like, after we check in and what's going on, give me an update, couple wins, couple things you're struggling with. Then we'll wait and we'll be like, all right, do you want any support? Do you want to talk about any more about something that you need some strategic thinking on or you're struggling with? Sometimes that's always uncomfortable to sit in silence for a
Yeah.
little bit there.
Yeah.
You got to shut the hell up because see what people come up with. And if they don't, then I got some fun prompts. Like the prompt last week was, what have you changed your mind about recently? And we got to start taking ownership, acknowledge where we're wrong, where we're like, might not be looking at things correctly. And so that got a good conversation going, and there's usually laughs, and it's at the end of those calls, it's that same, I feel connected. I feel appreciative that you guys showed up. Thank you for being here. That I don't know. And they come back. So there's got to be something there for men that it feels
They're obviously
good
getting something out of it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about
Yeah.
you? What's your male network like?
But you know what? Just the episode that just dropped today actually was all about this. It was all about 2 years ago. I realized coming out of the blinking confusedly into the light of the post-pandemic, I was realizing that acutely of how disconnected I felt in general, which a lot of people were feeling. But I think for men specifically, we were like, oh, wow. Like there was shit we were letting fall by the wayside as far as our relationships with other men before the pandemic. It just made it that much more acute. And I challenged myself, followed the lead actually of something that my wife had done, which is like making specific time several times a year to go to a key friend that you want to maintain a relationship with and just spending time with them, even if it's just 2 or 3 days, 72 hours, whatever, 48 hours. It doesn't have to be an amazing, huge thing. Doesn't have to be you're going to go to a resort, you're going to do this epic like 4-wheeling thing or anything like that. It doesn't have to be. It can be if you want to, but it can be just like several months ago to go see my friend Steve in upstate New York. Fly out there. He's super busy. He's an actor. He's flying all over the place. He's a full-time dad as well. Like he's a busy guy. And so I was like, I know I'm not going to be able to lock you down somewhere else for 2 or 3 days. So I'm going to fly out to you. Are you going to be home during this period? He's like, yeah, I'll definitely be there. Great. I'm just going to go with you to dropping off the kids at their CrossFit class. We're going to go walk down the street to your cute little coffee shop and we'll have coffee and hang out. We'll do our daily workouts together, have dinner with the family, and I'm crashing on in their guest room. It was the most amazing mundane experience. It was just having those conversations in the car, going from point A to point B. It was those moments in between moments. That's what you miss, right? That's what you miss out on through the various just small text messages or the occasional FaceTime call that you just don't have time to get into.
Yeah, I freaking love. So you talked about this on the episode that's released this week.
Yeah, because I wanted to help people activate their network of dudes.
Yeah, because
how can you make it purposeful? Yeah. Like I do it once a quarter. I plan it out like it's a business thing. That way I always have one to look forward to every 3 months. I decided in this case that, hey, I'm going to be the glue. I'm not going to have feelings about they should come and visit me. Like, yeah. Why aren't they coming? Dude, just fucking get out of your head. Just who's important to you? Go fucking see them.
Yeah.
And I have for the last 2 years, did it 3 times her first year. This year I've gone 4 times already. And it's the best.
When you come into Ohio?
I know. Yeah. This has all been a trap. This is Admiral Akbar right now. It's a trap.
Yeah.
This was all an elaborate ruse.
Hey.
And visit you in Ohio.
Dude, this is such a great tactic. Wow. Like, all right, we were talking earlier, it's hard to make friends. Leverage the friends you already have and just be in their life a little for a couple of days. It's so cool. One of my buddies drove through because where we live, we're right on 80-90 through Ohio. And that's like the major turnpike, whatever. Came through, stopped for a night. We did exactly what you said. He chilled with my family for maybe a half hour in the evening, got to hang with my kids. We took a walk down by the river, downtown, had some pizza, had a drink, walked back, and we sat, and I haven't laughed that hard for a while. We walked back, we sat on my back porch, and he left the next morning, and we were like texting about it for the next couple months. And it was just a year anniversary, and he texted me a picture, and he was like, what a freaking awesome time. And this was what we were doing last year. If you pause and think about it, it does buoy you up, and it does fill your cup or whatever you want to say, that kind of quality time. And man, like you said, leveraging that network of your existing friends, something about those friends from high school, from college, even grade school. They just know you. You feel like you can be yourself. And
Yeah, without any pretense or filter, which
yeah,
is the best.
yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. And one of those guys, the one that I just went and saw out in Detroit, and I never been to Detroit before. He was like the best, my friend Corey, another coach as well. And he showed me around Detroit. I got to go to a Tigers game. Like we
Tigers
just
are good
had
this
the
year.
best time.
Yeah.
And he was a friend that I actually made at a conference, like when I connected with you. And it's just, we've made time to do the texting and the hopefully like once a month ish FaceTime or Zoom meeting. But being there with him for the better part of 72 hours was just like, we were able to deepen the relationship, to have those moments in between things, like just getting breakfast, getting in the car, going for a workout, all that kind of stuff. That, yeah, it is possible, everyone, to make friends past 40.
Yeah.
That's what I want to say. It takes a little more effort because you don't have that history with the grade school or with the college shenanigans and things like that. But it is possible. And there are other guys that want this connection as well. And so you can be a little anxiety inducing to be the first one to make the first move. So, okay, basically, do you want to go on a dude date?
Yeah.
Do you want to go get pizza with me or go for a walk to get coffee a week from now? Like, because we're all afraid of rejection. We're all afraid of the no, or though I'm really busy right now. And then you feel like an idiot.
Yeah.
And that can happen.
You feel like you're ghosted or something like that.
Totally.
That happens because
It does happen.
some men
Yeah.
aren't ready for that.
They're not ready.
Men haven't gotten to that point where they're ready to talk about some of the like harder things in life. And
yeah.
they just like to talk about like boozing and sports and how everything's like great and the good stuff, or bitch and moan about. I think there's a difference between bitching and moaning from a place of like commiseration versus compassion, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think there is as well. There's the just mimicking what's in the ether and pop culture and the political climate at the time of what's horrible and what's broken in this country or like whatever. And there's a difference between that and then talking with a fellow dude about the fact that, man, I've really been having trouble getting up lately. The motivation just isn't there. I'm feeling like I'm just going through the motions, even when I'm parenting with the kids. And it just feels like I'm not connecting with it. That's different.
Yeah. Like my 13-year-old's going through a hard time at school.
Yeah.
And me and my wife are struggling, figuring out how to parent her, and it's causing stress in our relationship. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's different.
Yeah.
I would say you're 100% right. There's a big difference there. And I want more of what you were just talking about. Like, to be able to talk with other guys about that stuff without feeling like it's weird, and to get in our feelings and talk about stuff. And, you know, that new form of masculinity, I'm super here for it. Do you want to, if you really want to be a man that does hard shit, it's not just about lifting heavy weights, which I'm a big fan of. It's not just about making yourself sweat physically. Make yourself sweat emotionally.
Yeah.
Lift some heavy emotions. Talk to other dudes about it. It's hard.
Or just you are sweating emotionally. I think we are sweating emotionally. Just
there's no getting out of it.
Acknowledge it, and own up to the struggles a little bit. And
it makes you, like you said, it fills your cup. It makes you feel less alone. It really does help fill you up, buoy you up, as you said, to get you through those periods where you're just not feeling it, where motivation isn't there and discipline is the only thing getting you through. No, thinking back to being able to, I bet your buddy has thought about that sometimes as well, if he's feeling down, and you probably have as well. Like, I have that great person in my life. I had that great experience. There will be more great experiences like that in the future. If more men had those sorts of keystones that happen more regularly in their life to touch on, they wouldn't get to some of the low points that they do, where suicide and it seems like the only way out.
Yeah. Like, and you, in one of your recent podcasts, you threw out a bunch of those stats, and those stats are just, they're true.
They're harrowing. It just sucks.
And so I was just talking to a guy about this, because him and I have had a really great coaching relationship. And I was like, so you came to coaching and you hired a life coach. You're a man, and you decided to say, I could use a coach to help me with like my relationships, having a better relationship with my wife, not overworking as much, building a relationship with my kid. Hell yeah. What, like, I don't know exactly what I asked him, but I was like, I think I said, have you talked to any of your buddies about it? And he said, it's interesting. I have, and I've gotten like some standoff responses. Like he's opened up to a couple guys about it, and they're like, "Oh, really? Hmm, interesting." And he's like,
Really?
"It's one thing."
You're like looking for connection. They're just like, oh wow, huh? Anyway, how about those Cubs?
Yeah,
Like, what
like,
the fuck,
yeah,
man?
good for you. That I'm glad it works for you, just not for me. And he said, he's
Yeah.
like, it's one thing to be in the corporate world and get assigned a coach. He's like, I've been assigned a
Mm,
coach before. And then it's good you can talk about that because it was given to you. But for you to
interesting.
like seek out this, it's a different thing.
It's
And
different. No, I think you've just hit on something. That's totally true.
yeah.
As soon as you said that, I was like, oh yeah,
He
it is way more socially acceptable
yeah, I
if
didn't
you
hit
were
on it.
assigned a high performance coach.
Yeah, he hit on it. Wasn't my insight, but it clicked. And
Yeah.
the men that I coach, the men that you coach, like your corporate world coaching is probably like people are more open to help in that realm than the
Oh yeah.
life coaching stuff. And what was I just going to say? He said something else that kind of stuck with me. Oh, he was just like, you coach high performers, you coach these type A personalities. How do you get a type A personality to be like, I want to coach in my life? Not, and I think I'm just getting more comfortable calling myself a life coach. I call
Yeah.
myself a men's coach. I can call myself like an executive coach, but it's fuck it. I'm a men's life coach. If you want to live life to your highest potential, like this guy wanted to be the best version of himself. And it's like, all right, any high performer in any realm of sports, corporate, the music industry, whatever else, they have a
Any
coach that's
industry
helping
basically
them.
has a
Yeah,
coach.
they have a coach that's helping them. And
Multiple coaches in a lot of those industries.
yeah, and so I'm like, all right, I'm a men's life coach. Like you want to up your game in your life and you want to be the best version of yourself and leave a good legacy and live a life with no regrets. There's coaches out there that can help you with that. Um, there's some barrier that I need to figure it out myself. I shouldn't have problems. This shouldn't be so hard. And yeah, I think then you get into, it is hard, but you're staying siloed. And whether it's a one-on-one life coach or it's a group of men, like you think that you have a problem that you should be able to solve by yourself. And if you can't solve it by yourself, then there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
And if you stay there by yourself, that's when it gets lonely. And that's when those stats start to come up. Yeah.
We want to be like that warrior that can solve all the problems on their own. And we just somehow forget over and over again that we actually can go further and faster together.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's just with one other that isn't your spouse because they can't fill all those needs for you.
Oh my
And they
gosh.
shouldn't have to. You'll have a much happier, fulfilling relationship actually if you are working on your own shit in parallel with working with them to be a team.
Yeah,
And it took me
totally.
way too long to figure that out.
Yeah, me too. And that's probably like business coach wise for me and Brenda, because Brenda and I run this business together. Brenda's my wife.
Mhm.
We run our business together. And sometimes I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I suck at this, like I
Mhm.
said earlier. And that negative self talk, bringing it to your business partner, who's also your wife, she's
Yeah.
amazing about it. And she's a coach too. So she can hold space and coach me. And it's not good for our relationship. She has her own stress about the business. And like for her
Yeah.
to also hold space for me, yeah, I need my own outlet. I have my own business coach. I can go and like bitch and moan to him so I can clear my head and start thinking
Yeah.
and finding my confidence again. So yeah, like that's so true that like it's your wife's there. It's awesome. You can be vulnerable with her and tell her that you're hurting or tell her that work sucks and everything like that. And her job isn't to be your coach. She's supposed
Yeah.
to believe in you, but it's hard if that's all the conversation that you're having and you just become that grumpy dad that's rah, 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 and
Yeah. And it's true too. I haven't had a business coach yet that also wasn't a high performance or life coach in some way, as far as what I was getting out of it. Whether
Yeah.
they called themselves that or not, they're able to see externally my brain and the different things that might be disconnecting or stories that I have about myself that aren't true, that aren't helping me, yes, to be able to build my business in the most efficient way or most profitable way that I could. But they are also, through doing that, it's usually not business thoughts. It's not always business thoughts. It's thoughts about myself and my own worth and what's going on in my life that are clouding up getting the results that I want to get in my business. So it's really interesting to me that we somehow still think that, to your point of it's okay if someone assigns you like a high performance coach in a corporate setting. It's amazing to me that people think that there is a delineation between the life part of coaching and the high performer as far as business results part of coaching.
Yeah.
They fucking go together like peanut butter and jelly. And if one of them's unbalanced, you're not getting results in the other area. That's just the way it works. And it's also, I want to dispel any myth that anyone has, whether you are just starting out as a coach or whether you're not even a coach, you're just some completely different area. If you're an entrepreneur though, at all, and have a business, like what Tommy and I are talking about is like, we have coaches to help us on our business. I'm not just spinning up Olympus Men and a testosterone clinic in a fucking vacuum. I had a coach, her name's Ann Conkley, and she specializes in helping people, nurses and doctors usually. She helped me come from a different angle of business and marketing to set up their practice in 30 to 60 days or less. Like she knows all the things to help you do, all of the compliance rules, all of the HIPAA regulations. Like I hired her to be my coach in this area so I could excel at it and not trip over my own feet. It's okay a lot of times for us to hire a coach that has a tangible outcome like that. But I can tell you half the time, more than half the time, she wasn't just helping me stay on track with getting all the things on the list I had to get done to open my doors. She was helping me get out of my head as far as, oh, I suck at this, or I screwed this up, and now that's going to be blah, blah, blah. And now this is going to take more time. And she helps me to stay on my feet, make my thinking clear, to say, okay, it sounds like something else is going on that's making you feel that way. What is it? Mm-hmm. Is that really true? Like having a coach to help you with this kind of stuff. Man, the reason that you and I are doing anything close to what we love to do and helping other people is because we have coaches that are making sure that we're staying out of our gross stories that aren't helpful to us. So yeah, shout out to people that are walking the walk and not just thinking that somehow you and I are perfect or something. Like this is just because we're coaches doesn't mean we don't. In fact, I bet we have more going on in here.
It's so, yeah, because my clients teach me so much that I need to learn about myself. And I think that's part of being a coach. I've heard people say you can only take your client as far as you've traveled. And yeah, if I'm talking to a guy and he says something that triggers me inside, it's, oh, all right, Tommy, that's something that like you got to check out for yourself. And recently it's been like, I'm not a good enough provider, or I'm not like a strong enough dad or something like that. And you said the self-worth stuff, the enoughness, I'm letting other people down, I should be doing better. That constant chatter in our head is damaging. And sometimes it takes a coach to be like, stop for a second, man. Okay. Yes, you want to do more things. You want to be more present with your kids. You want to calm down. You want to stop procrastinating. Okay. But let's look at what you just did this week. You coached your son's game and you were present for bedtime every single day this week. And you got this done at work. Like, let's just tell ourselves that we're doing a pretty good job. Like, all things considered, as busy as we are, like we're doing pretty good. And that takes like an outside perspective, because the voice in the head that's telling us we should be doing more, we're not doing enough, can be overpowering. And I think that's a big part of coaching, because life's fucking hard. There's you're the hero's journey, that you're always on this journey, and it's the destination doesn't bring this end of happiness and contentment and everything's cool and calm. Totally. Yeah. So we got to celebrate.
There's no roll credits. You're dead.
Yeah, exactly. And so you got to pause and celebrate the wins, and maybe celebrate the wins is a little soft, but you got to pause and give yourself a high five. Celebrate the moment. If you're playing in the NFL, you got 16 games. And if you like win a game, if you only beat yourself up about all the things you did wrong in that game, like it's going to be a long freaking season. But if you take time to celebrate like what went well, you're going to feel more motivation to get out there again. You're not going to stop because it's a 16 game season and you're going for the Super Bowl, but you got to celebrate along the way.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I can't think of a better way to end our conversation today.
Right.
I feel like you just coached me. You just made me feel a lot better about some of the stuff that I feel like, yeah, I did just got the doors open on a business, and I'm about to go on vacation next week with my family and see a bunch of my friends for 4th of July. Like, life's really good. I need to stop thinking about next month and the month after and like my goals for by end of year and revenue and all that stuff. Like, it's just, see, having again, I tricked you into being on this podcast because I wanted to get free coaching. Tommy, this has been a fantastic conversation. Everybody, we bounced around on quite a few topics today, but it's exactly why I wanted to have Tommy on. He's so good at integrating the different parts of your life, whether you're talking specifically about being a dad, which he focuses that lens quite a bit, but also about high performing men in general that want to perform at a high rate in their lives, whether it's through parenting, whether it's their business, entrepreneurs, or if you're working in corporate space, but also cultivating your group of guys. Like, if you have the wherewithal to go and hire a coach like Tommy, you absolutely should. And I encourage you to. But if in the meantime, you could be reaching out to some of your guys that maybe the text chain is falling off a little bit. It's not happening as often as it was. If there's that guy that you wanted to go and get coffee with, or that maybe invited you a couple of weeks ago and you haven't responded yet, dude, go for coffee.
Yeah.
Have a connection. It can start really small, but start to really think about how you can build your network of dudes. It doesn't have to be big. You can count them on one hand. But man, when the chips are down, if there's a few people you can reach out to, if you're struggling, or if you want to celebrate with them as well, if you want some people, you need some guys in your life that when you have a big win and you tell them about it, that you know they're not competing with you, that they are cheering you on. They're like, fuck yeah, man. Nice job. Like, you need those guys in your life. Try to reach out and find them. Once you start to realize that you want it, you'll start to find them. Yeah. Okay. It's like that whole universe secret thing. Secret. Once you start, if you build it, they will come. Okay. Field of Dreams. We'll go Kevin Costner on you there.
Yeah.
But please listen to some of the things. Rewind this if you need to listen to some of the stuff, especially that Tommy was talking about there at the end. Tommy, it's always a great conversation with you. If guys want to work with you, you said you're doing a lot of one-on-one right now, and then they can learn about some of the group stuff you do. What's the best way for them to get in contact with you and learn more about you right now?
Yeah, TommyGCoaching.com. Head to the website. Everything's there. The podcast right now, I think a lot of men might not call themselves an angry person or say that they have had anger issues, but something about the pressure and responsibilities of parenting and providing and husbanding bring that frustration out on a lot of guys. So the podcast, we're at like 70 episodes now. We just put out a podcast roadmap, and it's Stop Losing Your Temper. So it's 10 episodes, and you listen to the 10 episodes. There's a ton of podcasts out there, and it's hard to know where to start. So if you go to the website, that's available. I'd say that's a great place to start. Or if you're like, fuck it, I'm ready to have a conversation, just set up a strategy session with me. They're free. Those one sessions can get a lot of momentum going.
That's awesome. I love the curated series too. Yeah. A lot of time, because that's one of the things that I've talked about as well, is there's a couple of emotions that guys are allowed, quote unquote, to have. One of them's anger. Mm-hmm. And so that tends to be our go-to when we're frustrated in other areas and we're like not maybe feeling the proper emotions that fit into the right square. We just default to anger or frustration. So check out that curated series, people, if you can, and reach out to Tommy if you're looking for coaching.
Yeah, we put that up there because those are the most downloaded, most listened to episodes, are like anger as a messenger, the truth about anger, the anger is the tip of the iceberg. Yeah, it's real for guys. And that if you like start with that as your trailhead and start to explore your anger, lots of change happens quickly.
That's awesome. Tommy, thanks for being a resource for the dudes. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Aaron. Always good hanging out.
All right. Talk to you soon.
See you, man.
Or actually, I'll come see you soon. I'm putting you on the list for the next visit.
I can't wait.
All right. Bye for now, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Storied Coaching with Aaron J. Jacobs. If you want more information or resources from the podcast, visit us at storiedcoaching.com.